So now we move on to the first and inaugural session of our seminar together with the focus theme of Vedanta. So it is a great honor to welcome the chairman of Sambodh Foundation India and the Sambodh Society Incorporated, but most importantly, our guru, visionary, guiding light, mentor, and friend. So SWAMI BODHANANDA, we humbly welcome you to enlighten our minds on this beautiful subject of inclusive vision. So Swamiji.
I'll be bringing the Vedantic perspective into this global discourse. And the title that I have chosen is Spirit Blooms in the Soil of Matter. An inclusive vision for the global village. What do you mean by the global village? As you know, the communication revolution, transportation, technology, travel, global corporations, international corporations and institutions, and the social media, all of them has reduced the distance and time and made the whole planet into a small village, one family. Because we are able to know instantaneously, whatever is happening all over the world. We have access to information from all over the world, whether we are in the bedroom or the drawing room or the bathroom. The world has shrunk. So we are living in a global village with information pouring into us constantly. And this has an echo in the old dictum that the Veda says, Vasudhaiva Kudumbagam. The world is one family. Yatra Vishwam Bhavatyega Nidam. Where the Vishwa, the universe, become one nest. Ano Bhadra Pradavo Yandu Vishwadaha. Let noble thoughts come from all sides and enrich our life, individual life. Egam Satta Vipraha Bahuda Vadundi. Truth is one, but truth has got many faces. You can understand it in your own way and express truth in your own way. So these are some of the old Vedic insights about this phenomena. They could anticipate it at that time. This is what is going to happen. And now the corona virus has made us all one family. It happens in India, in United States, in China, all over the world. We all are thinking similarly now. So that's what I meant by the global village. Though we are living in a global village, we are living in our own little silos. Though we are trying to communication, there is some difficulty in communicating because of biases and prejudices and the various kind of divides in the world. So we need a way of negotiating all these differences and create a discourse where everybody get a voice. Everybody's perspective is heard and appreciated. That is what Vedanta brings onto the table. Because India has been, Vedanta is the finest flowering of the Indian wisdom tradition. India has got India is a land of incredible variety and variations. Language, food, dress, features, ethnicity. So India has got such great experience of bringing diversity into a discourse of unity. And Vedanta, or Advaita Vedanta, helps in that. And the world needs that. This ability to live with the dissent and difference and diversity and plurality. And still you feel comfortable with your own identity. And you bring your identity into the richness of the world. That's what that's why I support or recommend Vedanta for you as a universal way of discourse. And Vedanta proposed the idea ahimsa, a non-violent way of resolving differences, accommodating people. So I would say Vedanta would be the candidate. Vedanta will be the table around which we can sit and exchange ideas. And the corona pandemic, where the corona is continuing its death dance, we all are very much scared. We all are confined to our own little homes and places, wherever you are. So it is time for us to reflect. One way it is a blessing in disguise. We have enough time now, patience, need to sit down and reflect. As the ancient Greek philosopher Socrates said, an unanalyzed life is not worth living. I repeat, an unanalyzed life is not worth living. And this echoes the Vedantic master's statement, a life with no self-understanding, self-knowledge is worthless and wasteful. Whether it is a Greek philosopher or Indian rishi, they both said the same thing. We have to reflect on our own self. Unless we reflect who we are, what is our place in the world, life becomes a rudderless ship, a rudderless boat, let us say, in choppy waters. It's very important that we use this time, this God-given time, to reflect, to contemplate. And this contemplation should be a global contemplation, because we are living in this global village. So, how do we go about it, is the question. Now, when I look back, let's say 500 years ago, the scientific project, the secular scientific project, started with the Cartesian divide between the self and the world. I think, therefore I am, he said. And the world is different from me. And I have to understand the world. I have to control the world. I have to change the world to suit my personal needs and desires and greed, which is called the Cartesian divide. And this Cartesian divide had its roots in the Judeo-Christian divide between God and the world. But though the Judeo-Christian divide between the world, the God and world was not that sharp, still they believed God created the world. So it was not that sharp. But with the Descartes, he created that sharp division. The world is objective and it is different from my subjectivity, the individual subjectivity. And then he ignored the self, the subject, and focused on the world. And there started the secular scientific project of prying information, natural laws from the world, so that you can control the world. And we built an incredible civilization based upon this idea. Science, technology, management principles. And we created incredible development, prosperity, goods and service. But now we understand under this corona scare, even the mightiest nation in the world, the United States, with all its technology and management principles, is not able to tackle this little corona virus. They are clueless now. And on another side is the environmental issues, the health issues. All these problems have brought into a situation where the humanity is clueless. Scientists, technologists, management gurus, even religious people are clueless. They don't know what to do. Though we have made this great progress, this progress has led to a situation of purposelessness. We don't know where are we progressing, where are we headed. A progress without purpose, knowledge without wisdom, pleasure without happiness, isn't it? And power without peace. That is where we are now. On one side there is great material progress, but the other side there is spiritual distress. It's like a bird trying to fly, flapping with the one wing. The bird tries to fly, flapping with the one wing, material progress, the spiritual destitution, loss of the self. If the bird tried to fly, it can only go round and round and round and round. It will never be airborne. And in this situation, now we are compelled to think, to bring the self, God, back into life, the spirit back into life, where we try to find a balance between the spirit and the matter. Because in the material development, we have forgotten, neglected, ignored the spirit. So this is what I call holistic mindset. On one side, you are thinking of the material development. On the other side, at the same time, you try to balance between a spiritual development. The spirit and matter, they are not two different entities, according to Vedanta. A spirit flowers. Matter is the flowering of spirit. Spirit is the root of matter. That divide, the Cartesian divide between spirit and matter, has created this havoc in human life. So we lost our balance. So we have learned a bitter lesson during the past 500 years. Now we are trying to bring a spirit, though it is invisible, but it is accessible. We can access it. So this project, the new project, the new mindset, the new vision, which Vedanta brings onto the table, where we are trying to balance the material development with the spiritual enlightenment. How do we do that? How do you go about it? How do we make it sensible to the modern world? I think this is the challenge we are facing today. How do we create a vocabulary, a mindset to understand this idea? Because spirit is invisible, it cannot be measured, it cannot be investigated with your scientific tools. It is very, very private and subjective, but it is accessible to all of us. So how do we go about it? How do we create literature? How do you create a pedagogy for this? That we are not ignoring the spirit in our materialistic preoccupations. That's the challenge that I would like to address today. So, what do we mean by the holistic mindset, or bringing spirit and matter together? From the Vedantic perspective, truth is, Vedanta is an inquiry into the nature of truth. What is ontologically real? So Vedanta says the ultimate truth, the I experience. I hope it makes some sense to you. The I experience. You all experience yourself, don't you? That I exist, as Descartes said. Or like Yajnavalkya said, I exist. That is a experience which cannot be negated. So Vedanta begins from there. The rest are all can be doubted. Whether the world exists, whether stars exist, thoughts exist, you can doubt. The only thing we cannot doubt, free from doubt, indubitable, is that I exist. And that I is a universal I. You say I exist, I say I exist. Our forefathers said I existed. The future generation also will say I exist. Isn't it? The only indubitable fact in life is that my existence, you cannot contradict it. You don't need any evidence for that. No material evidence is necessary. Though that I experience cannot be measured, it is there. It is Svadasiddham, self-evident. Vedanta begins from there. I am, I exist. And then I see the world. So therefore, I am situated in the world. When you say I exist, you can have many ideas. That your I, that existence is conditioned by your genetic structure, your family, your community, your language, your environment, the trillions upon trillions of synapses in the brain, and all your experiences. But all of them put together gives you a unity experience of I. That's the beauty of that. If you analyze it, if you dissect it, you will not see that I. Okay, go into synapses or your genetic structure or your genome or just your memories. All these diverse factors, meaning the entire universe have cooperated to create this experience of I. It's a holistic experience. So your roots are very, very deep. So Vedanta begins from that. The existence of I. So I is the truth. And then here is the world experiences, my dreams, my thoughts, my memories, and all that. So this I, which is the project of the universe, the product, ultimate product of the universe, ultimate flowering of the universe, the Big Bang and the evolution and whatnot. So I is to be, the truth is a composite entity. If you try to dissect it, you miss it. It's like trying to see the beauty of a flower. If you try to pull all the petals apart, then there is no beauty. The flower is to be seen as it is. On the bush is rooted on the ground, and the flower is shining in the sunlight and swaying in the breeze. Then there is beauty. So the scientific project of dissecting everything, analyzing everything, and getting a state of paralysis doesn't take you to the truth. So let us begin from here, the I experience. And the I that you experience today, according to Vedanta, is a karta bhokta I, the doer, enjoyer I. Isn't it? You do things, you enjoy the outcome of your work. Sometimes try to steal the outcome of somebody's work, and he tried to steal from you, that also can happen. Well, ultimately, in the ultimate analysis, you enjoy the product of what you have done, good or bad. So what in the first look, the I means karta, bhokta, I. That is one I. In Vedanta, we call the samsari, the aviveki. One is trying to grab the whole world as though the world is something different from you. You don't have to grab the world. You don't have to possess the world. You are part of the world. You don't have to possess your head. Head is part of you. Without the head, you cannot exist. So as a karta, bhakta, samsari, aviveki, you're trying to possess the world, to control the world. And as a result of that, all the kind of tension and violence. So from the Vedantic perspective, the karta, bhakta, I is part of the world. That is the first experience, the initial experience. The second experience is the witnessing self. There is an I who witnesses everything, what is called the sakshi self. I am witnessing that I am doing something, I can witness that. I enjoy something, I witness that. If I take a cup of coffee, I can see I am taking a cup of coffee. So this is called the second level of the I, which is the witnessing, observing I. And that observing I can see that or objectify the doer, enjoyer I. But unfortunately, we have not gone to that level of the I because our preoccupation with the material things, we don't enjoy that aspect of ourselves. So there is a karta, bhakta, doer, enjoyer I. There is a witnessing I. There is also a transcendental I. When you develop that witnessing attitude, which requires some effort, when you develop that witnessing attitude, you get access to your true self. The true I, the transcendental I. And that transcendental I is called Satyam, Shivam, Sundaram, Samyam, Dharmyam. All those great meta values are all abiding in that transcendental I. On the transcendental level, we all are one. We all have our roots in that transcendental I. The witnessing I, there is differences. The Karta Bhakta I, there are differences. But these differences are not absolute. Shankara used the word mithya. These differences are relative, not absolute, not permanent. Like waves in the ocean, froth and foam in the ocean. So on the Karta Bhakta level, you and I differ. On the witnessing level, you and I differ. Because I am witnessing what is happening in the theater of my mind. And what is happening around me. But on the third level, there are no differences. So please understand, according to Vedanta, the ultimate truth is the I experience. And the I has got these three levels. And the I is a product of all these factors working together. So these are the three levels of truth. And the ultimate level, our nature is pure bliss, happiness, goodness, beauty. That's our real nature. And a person who can traverse in these three levels, the transcendental and the witnessing and the terrestrial, let us say, the experiential level, can tie up all these things together while he is interacting or she is interacting with the world. That person is called an enlightened person or a Jivan Mukta. Living enlightened. You're scratching your head. What does it all mean? What does it all mean? It means a lot. You have all your life to contemplate on this truth. So if you are able to tie these three aspects of yourself together, otherwise you come to live a divided life, a materialistic life, an exclusivistic life. So there is no divide between matter and the spirit. So when you say the spirit is this transcendental I. In modern language, you can call it consciousness. My nature is consciousness. And consciousness includes everything. So our effort is to tie up these three dimensions of your personality: the transcendental, the witnessing, and the terrestrial, the ordinary self. If you can tie all those things together, all the three things together, you are an enlightened person. Then life becomes an experience of unfolding that inner potential or inner joy. Then unfolding your inner joy as you interact with the world is called samadhi in meditation, in Vedanta. It's a life experience. It's an all-inclusive experience. So the ultimate objective of human life, according to Vedanta, is to realize this truth of your essential nature as infinite bliss. And not only realize it, it is a continuous experience of realization. Realization is not an event, it's a process. Though it is a process, there is no time there. It's a timeless experience. When I say it's a process, then you feel there is time. It's a timeless process. Time stops there. So this is the perspective of Advaita Vedanta. There is no division between the spirit and matter. That's what I titled this lecture. A spirit blooms in the soil of matter. What is matter? Matter is the body, mind, the external world of five sensations. These are all material because they are objective. They are available for your observation, your body, your mind, your thoughts, your memories, the world all around you. These are all objective. Those are all constructs in consciousness. This is I would call it a Brahman project. The world is a project of Brahman to explore and express its potential. And you come in between all this. So this divide between spirit and matter is illogical. It creates all kinds of problems. So we have to create a mindset where we are the center of existence and everything is around you, the individual. And the individual has got these three dimensions. And when we are able to tie up all these things together in our daily moment-to-moment life and explore our potential and express it as we interact with the world, then life's fulfillment happens. It is this idea, which I call the holistic mindset, is to be brought into the modern discourse, which is not seen these days. So how do we do that? It's a very, very important question. Otherwise, I don't see any hope for the world. I mean, world will continue, full of miseries and sufferings. But we as individuals, with this immense potentiality, we are not able to explore this potentiality. So what is required in the modern discourse, along with the secular scientific temper, we also have to bring a spiritual attitude to life. We have to realize our essential nature is this supreme bliss. We have to realize that ultimate objective is to be a happy individual. Slowly we are recognizing this. Slowly, governments, policy advocates, think tanks, they have come to this realization. The ultimate objective of all human pursuit is to be a happy individual. And that happiness has to be invoked from your own contemplative states. So can I be contemplative while I am interacting with the world is the question. And I would call it that contemplative activity in the world. Then you are able to not only interact with the world, do all your scientific research and technological development and goods and services and travel, everything you can do, but at the same time, we are very contemplative. We keep that witnessing attitude. Then you got access to the Spirit, the infinite intelligence and power and bliss of the Spirit. So blissfully, you can go about in the world. So how do we make it intelligible to the world, the ordinary people? That you don't have to seek happiness. You can share your happiness, which is your natural state. How do we make it possible? Because people say, oh, this is very, you can say that, but you don't know where I am, what I am. I'm miserable, I'm suffering. I am a victim of my past. I am a victim of my family conditions or the environment. A spiritual person cannot say that. A spiritual person is always a rebel. It rebels these conditionalities. The spirit is of infinite power. This idea we have to bring into the discourse. I can take charge for my health, for my happiness, for my well-being. As an individual, I can take charge. That is the message we have to bring to the world today. Instead of looking outside for your own well-being, we can take charge. Which Mahatma Gandhi used a very beautiful phrase. He called Swaraj. You can take charge of your life. Swadeshi, you can live within that. Wherever you are, you can live as an emperor, a king. Swadeshi. Provided satyagraha, provided you seek truth. These are the words used by Mahatma Gandhi. So this is the kind of discourse, the vocabulary, the pedagogy we have to bring into the world discourse. Otherwise, I don't see, take charge of your life. As an individual, you can make a difference to your life and the life of the community. If you light up one lamp, all the accumulated darkness will simply disappear. Just one light. So may you become that light. And so we have to establish ourselves for our own spiritual nature by developing a contemplative state of mind. And that is what I find the spirit of all the other lectures. Yoga. What is the purpose of yoga? Yoga is Sarube Avasthanam. To abide in your nature, real nature, which is happiness. What is the spirit of Ayurveda? Swastham. So means tahasasta tatse bhava. Swastham. To abide in yourself. What does Chanakya say? Chanakya says the ultimate purpose of Arthashastra is happiness. Sugham. Praja Sugham. Artha means Arthyade. Artha has an instrumental value. What are you Arthyade? What are you seeking? What is the ultimate value? Happiness. Where is it? Where is it located? Within yourself. So why are you looking it outside? Reflect. Contemplate. Isn't it? So, whether it is Arthashastra or Yoga or Ayurveda or even Sanskritam. Sanskritam is another. What is the source of Sanskritam? Panini says, Atha Shabdanuशासनम. Now I shall talk about language, bhasha, words, syllables, sentences, communication. What is the source of that? The language arose from Shiva's dance. At the time of dance, Shiva took his little damaru, little drum, and beat 14 times. And from there arose the sound. And Panini captured it, it seems. Even in Sanskrit language, which is very scientifically organized, has its source in the spirit. It is a vibration of the spirit. Language is a vibration of the spirit. Om. Whichever way you look at it, finally we go to the spiritual center. Be rooted there. When you are uprooted, when you are alienated from the spirit, the alienation from the spirit is the cause of all our suffering. So come back home. Come back home. You are welcome. Your parents are waiting for you to gather. Come back. You have gone away. You have strayed away long, long before. Now come back. It is time for us to come back and establish ourselves in the spirit. This is the Vedantic teaching. And I think it has to be brought in a very powerful way into the global discourse. Thank you very much. Hari Om.
Thank you so much, Swamiji. So at this point in time, I'd like to welcome everybody and invite everyone to pose any questions that might have arisen from Swamiji's teaching. So you can do that either by raising your hand with the reaction icon or typing your question in the chat box. So I'll do my best to address all the questions in our time that we have together. We have about 10 to 15 minutes for questions. So. Marjorie, would you mind unmuting yourself to ask your question?
You want me to mute?
No, Swamiji.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Are you there?
Yeah. Can I speak now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Thank you. My question is this: that if Vedanta is, is supposed to be based on scriptures, and it doesn't matter what identity you have, whatever your race or whatever your religion and so on, you are supposed to have a holistic approach. Now, my question is that if, at least this is claimed that Hindutva also is based on scriptures, and especially what is going on in India nowadays, it is more divisive rather than holistic. So what is the difference? Are they different scriptures or are they interpreted differently? I'm not too clear about this. Can you please help?
Yeah, it is based on the scripture. And unfortunately, the scripture came from India. And, the contribution of the Hindus, so-called Hindus. It is something like the relativity theory that came from Einstein, who is a Jew, German Jew. But that does not make it a Jewish project. It is a universal idea. It is for the whole universe. It doesn't matter where is the root of Vedanta. Let us see whether it is giving you the shade, where you can sit and relax, where you can contribute to your understanding. So the source is not that important. It came from India. Different ideas come from different parts of the world. But then since we are universal, living in this little global village, we are inheritors of all these wonderful ideas. Now, what is happening in India is a different question, the Hindutva and all that. I don't think we have to go into that political discourse today. That's a political program. Hindutva is a political project. It is not a philosophical project. And like Trump says, the America first, or Erdogan in Turkey says Turkey is first. China says socialism is the Chinese characteristics. These are a political program. This is not a political platform. So if you want a discussion on that, we can do it in some other occasion.
Because I thought that both of the Hindutva and Vedanta are based on similar scriptures or the old ancient Indian scriptures. It seems they are
you can interpret things, The same book you can interpret hermeneutics. Interpretation can differ. You can interpret it in a very divisive manner. You can interpret it in a holistic manner. That all depends upon how you interpret it.
Okay, so it's a question of interpretation.
Also interpretation.
Thank you.
Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you for your question, and thank you, Swamiji, for that beautiful response. So it looks like we have a question coming in next from Nick Mehta. So Nick, would you mind unmuting yourself and asking your question?
Pranam Guruji. My question is, as a human being, I'm not sure, how do I live my life consciously in a day-to-day life?
Just look around, look within yourself, look around, question your own intention, motivations all the time before you jump into the fray. Take a moment, take a deep breath. Then that is called awareness. Look at the flowers, look at the stars, look at the babies playing. Look at the rivers flowing and the flowers blooming and the butterflies dancing. When you look at, take a breath before you jump. Don't be the victim of your limbic system. So then you are in awareness. That's all what you have to do. It doesn't require much effort. It's not a rocket science. Just look before you leap. Any other question?
It looks like
or you can do pranayama, yogasanas, all these things will come now. Or engage in a conversation with your friends and partners, or read some classics, listen to some music. All these are ways of developing that awareness, because awareness is your nature. It is the most effortless thing you can do. You know, these days there's a fast thinking and slow thinking. This is fast thinking. You can just, it's very effortless. Yes, next.
Okay, the next question comes from Jaya Patil. Jaya, would you mind unmuting yourself?
Namaste, Swamiji. My question is, how do we motivate the youngster? Because I see my son is, I'm from New York. So my son is so demotivated. He doesn't have any things to do. He just sit down in the room and just stay whole day in the room. So it's affecting his health, his education, everything. So,
stop sending him money. Don't send him even a penny.
No, he's with me at my home.
Oh, that's what I said. Let him starve him for 2 days. Then his basic juices will arise. Ask him to cook. Don't cook and give it to him. Don't pet him. Let his basic energy arise in him. You have petted him quite a lot. That's all what you have to do. Put him on his own, push him into the waters. Let him drown or learn swimming. Don't take responsibility for his future. Give him the responsibility. Make him accountable for what he's doing. Don't feel it's your failure. Have faith in his spirit. That's all what you have to do. Yes. Next.
Okay, wonderful. Kelly, it looks like you have a question. Would you be willing to unmute yourself and read aloud?
There we are. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, great.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Hi. Thank you very much. I came across your teachings via YouTube about 4 or 5 months ago. Very in line with where I'm going in my life right now. I'm in Western medicine. It's not really my gig, but I see a lot of different texts and reading materials, and I know that like the Gita is written as a poem, and here I am in the middle of nowhere without really anybody to help with translations or interpretations. And I know I can get overwhelmed. So right now I'm just listening to your videos on the Gita. And my goal, I'm heading to Bali in a few months, become a yoga instructor. I need to come back and get to the people before they get to the hospital. So I'm trying to find a way to incorporate all this. And I think that's what I'm trying to find out. Like, other than listening, what else can I do?
See, you are a yoga practitioner. Practice your yoga. And when you go to Bali is a very beautiful place. You can go all around and visit some homes and palaces, some mystic people there. Beyond the beach, Bali, you cannot escape the sea. Wherever you go, you will see the sea. Listen to the voice of the sea, and the sea will talk to your soul, and will be a very beautiful experience for you. It will be a life transforming experience in Bali. There's a lot to see there, a lot to be there. So, welcome to Bali. Thank you.
Looks like we have time for just maybe a few more questions. And there's one that came in from Rajiv Vasudevan. Would you mind unmuting yourself?
Yes, I've done that.
Hi, Rajiv, yes.
Yeah, namaste, Swamiji. Thank you very much for a very thought-provoking discourse. And I had two quick questions. Number one, you mentioned about 3 states of being from which action could arise. One is the terrestrial, second is the contemplative, and the third was the transcendent consciousness level. And then subsequently, as you spoke about how to conduct oneself in daily life, and then you spoke about being action arising from the contemplative level, which is, as I understand from what you spoke, is at the level of the mind, the mind and being aware, the Sakshi level, as you mentioned. So could you please comment on action that can arise from beyond the mind, from the transcendent level at a constant level, not on a just for an instant or for a small period of time, but on a consistent basis through the vyavharika, the daily day-to-day life routine. How do you think it is possible and to sustain that type of action? So action from a higher self in the hurly-burly of the daily life, number one. Number two, quickly, today with COVID, what has happened is that the fear of COVID is so over surpassing. Of course, some people are going beyond that and being reckless about it. But there is also this fear and paranoia, which is there pre-COVID and post-COVID. So this mental health is really a serious issue today. So from a overall, you very much spoke about the spiritual, mental and physical aspects. But any comments on how the human being should conduct oneself when such a uncontrollable threat is there as they perceive it? Thank you very much. Namaste.
To face this corona pandemic, one has to develop faith in your immortal self.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only way to develop your immunity. That your immortal body is a temporary possession, and you may have to leave it sometime or other. So that kind of a spiritual rootedness is very important for developing immunity. And that will help you face this corona pandemic and scare. And then, of course, various other, protocols that the medical communities are educating you. But most important is deep faith in your immortal self. So, and then, of course, yoga, pranayama, etc., etc. Now, your first question is, I think, is much more important. How can I invoke the spirit while I am interacting with the world? When you're interacting with the world, your actions are all determined by your conditioning. You can change your conditioning, but still it's another type of conditioning. You are a lawyer, now you can become a doctor, later you can become a singer, and finally you can become a cook. All these are possible. From one conditioning to another conditioning. So there is no unconditioned action. Similarly, your enjoyment also depends upon your conditioning. Our conditions are on the body, mind, ego level. So according to your conditioning, you interact with the world. The world also is a structure. It has got a history. That also changes. So guna guneshu vartande, as it is said in the book. So as you do this, as you interact depending upon your conditioning to a specific environmental challenging situation, if you can do it with a contemplative mindset, what is the contemplative mindset? Even this will pass away. That is the contemplative mindset. Today I am successful, tomorrow I can become a failure. Today I am top of the heap, tomorrow I can be the bottom of the heap. And I cannot do things alone. I have to have a team around me. I have to listen to the other, because the other is my own extension. That's how you bring different perspective. So when you do that, that's what is called contemplation. So when you contemplatively interact with the world according to your training and your conditioning, the spirit will unfold as joy and ecstasy. And you will be able to do things in your own way, in a new way, in a very relaxed, creative way. That's what I call enlightenment or health. Then you are healthy, you are enlightened, you are inclusive, you are an integrated personality. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you, Swamiji. And thank you to all of you for asking those questions. So at this point in time, we're going to move on to our second session.